Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. I'm Peter Loshak. Today is Wednesday, May 3rd. It's the heart of round 2 of the NBA playoffs. We're going to talk right now. We're going to welcome back an old favorite, Troy West from TroyWins.com, a guy who usually does pretty well in the NBA playoffs in general, to analyze the two games tonight. Troy West, thanks so much for being back with us. Good to talk to you once again.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me back. It has been a while, and I've missed you guys. I hope all's well over there. And we're just rocking and rolling at TroyWins.com, and we've had an outstanding NBA playoffs so far, and looking forward to helping the viewers out there as well.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I remember when we used to cover the NBA playoffs with you. You had a great record overall. Usually, let's talk about the two games tonight: Toronto, Cleveland, and Houston, San Antonio. Now, as our regular viewers know, I am my overall record in the NBA, long-term, big sample size, is extraordinarily shitty, but game ones of these two series, I definitely nailed. I nailed Houston with the team total over and the points. And with the Toronto-Cleveland series, I didn't quite actually have the balls to take Toronto plus the points, which I was thinking about doing, but I took the full game over and the Toronto team total over, and both of them did cash. So the question is, what are we going to get in these game twos that's going to be different or the same from what we saw in game one? I guess first let's just start with the later game, Houston and San Antonio. Obviously, Houston absolutely steamrolled the Spurs. If anyone can make adjustments successfully, it's going to be Popovich and the Spurs. But they did just kind of look like maybe they don't have the manpower. They look like they have Kawhi Leonard and not much else. They're looking a little bit old, a little bit slow. At 5.5, I think I'm leaning towards Houston once again. Maybe the Spurs get the win, but I don't know. Are they going to be able to slow Houston down at all here?
You make great points, Pete. Stole a lot of my thunder there, but you're right. Popovich would be the guy to make the adjustments. I would put a lean on Houston, but I'm actually going to go with the total on this one. I think Popovich is going to make a lot of necessary defensive plan to shut down Harden and shut down the other scores on Houston. I think this is going to actually go under the posted total. I think Kawhi Leonard, Aldridge, they're going to step up defensively. I don't see a lot of points being scored in this game. They're still going to get their points, but not enough to go over the total. But like you said, it's tough to pick a side on this, because will the Spurs firepower with Aldridge and Leonard and Patty Mills and Parker, will these guys elevate their game? Or like you said, are they too old? Are the Houston Rockets the more athletic, faster bunch of guys? And is it by a landslide? You saw they won by 27 points in game one. I think Popovich is going to do all the necessary adjustments to slow down the Houston Rockets and slow down the tempo of the game. That's why I'm going under. I don't think Houston's going to get anywhere near the 126 that they got in the first game. We saw San Antonio at 99. I like this game like a 102-99 type of basketball game. So I'm going to stay away from the side, but I do like the under in this one.
All right, interesting. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the regular season, we saw, the Spurs play a lot of games against normally explosive offensive teams, against Houston, against, the Warriors and teams like that, and the Cavaliers even, where the games, whether they won or lost or covered or didn't, were very low scoring. And so it was a little bit surprising that they weren't able to slow down Houston. You might really be onto something. All right, so we'll give you for the under. 216.5 is still available. The Greek appears to have a lean, agreeing with you at 215.5. And you know what I'm going to do? Maybe they will be successful slowing things down, and maybe even come out with a win. But just given how awesome Houston looked and how slow San Antonio looked, I'm going to take Houston plus 5.5 points. I just think that's too many points to be giving them, don't you think?
I think it's a fair bet, absolutely. My money won't be on it, but I do think it's a fair bet. But if you're going the eye test on game one, it is tough to say, God, was that the real Spurs or was it not? Tonight will be a big tell, but a lot of people overreact by seeing one game in game one. I'm not going to do that. I think Popovich is going to make the adjustments, but I think it's a fair point. It does look like they ran him out of the building, and I would not be totally surprised if it happened again. But I'm going to make that Popovich makes the right adjustments defensively and go under.
All right, so Troy's on under 216.5 minus 110, and I'm going to take the Rockets plus 5.5 minus 109, and then the Toronto-Cleveland game. Is there any way that Toronto can slow down Cleveland? Obviously, game one wasn't as close as the final score indicated. I actually wound up again coming out with 2-0 winners, despite the fact that betting on Toronto offensively, despite the fact that they didn't cover. Are they going to be able to slow Cleveland down at all?
It's an interesting one. I had Cleveland in game one, and that was one of our big winners. But this time, again, I'm going back to the total. I said, they bumped this line up to 7.5. I don't know what you have officially, but I've seen it 7.5. So they have bumped it up. Cleveland, they looked a little shaky in that series against Indiana. They snuck away in several of those games. They did get the sweep. That's all that matters. They're definitely the far more superior team, but they seem to have some sort of letdown throughout these series in terms of actually being able to cover the spreads here. 7 seems like quite a bit. Toronto doesn't impress me. I don't think they have the offense to keep up with Cleveland.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go under again. I think Cleveland defensively has played really good basketball. They like to score points. They like to shoot the three. I get all that, but I think they're going to slow it down. I think Toronto is going to put their best effort on defense and try to slow the game down as well. And that's why I like the under. 7's just a little bit too many because I just don't know. Cleveland, they haven't lost a playoff game yet, but they face the Pacers, bad basketball team. Toronto, bad basketball team. It'll be interesting to see what happens here with the line, but I'm going to go under again, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is just that, like, Cleveland, as we know, this year had serious issues defensively in the second half of the season, and especially with the kind of pick and rolls that Toronto can be great with. And we saw, Indiana be a very slow-paced, low-scoring, defense-oriented team, and that series just went way over. The last game, I think, went under, but the first 3 games went way over, and I'm thinking that, I don't know, I was actually leaning towards the over here. I know that Toronto's going to try to slow things down for Cleveland, but if they can't, then their only way to stay in the game is to keep up with them offensively, which they might be able to do, considering Cleveland's, vulnerabilities on defense that we saw in the second half, right?
Yeah, you bring up good points. In the first game definitely went over, but I just think the second game, I think Toronto, again, adjustments, and usually I think teams like that, when they know they don't really have the firepower on offense to hang around, they're going to need to slow the game down, and they're going to have to focus their emphasis on defense, and that's why I think it's going to go under. Cleveland is a pretty good defensive team for the most part. They do have their lapses, but I think both teams here are going to emphasize defense. I think we're going to see a lower score this time around.
All right, under 213.5 minus 110. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Troy West. I'm going to go partially head-to-head with you. I'm going to take the Toronto Raptors team total over once again, 103 minus 109. So that one could cash, and the game could still go under, especially if Toronto does play well on defense and steals the game, which is not out of the realm of possibilities. I think that Toronto, Cleveland just looked a little bit vulnerable to me in the Indiana series, and if they start getting some foul calls and DeRozan starts getting to the line, and Valanciunas has the game that they were hoping that he would have in Game 1 that he didn't have, Toronto could make this a more competitive series than maybe it looked like it would be in Game 1.
I completely agree. But they did bump up the line to 7, which kind of makes me a little bit nervous. But like you said, Cleveland for a while there was up 15 to 20 points, and it looked like it could have been a bloodbath. The score didn't really necessarily reflect the outcome, but we'll see. Like you said, Cleveland's been kind of a bipolar team all year long. They obviously seem to up their game here in the playoffs, and they've done that so far. They're getting what needs to be done, which is the wins. They don't care about covering. So we'll see what happens, but I do like the under. I think both teams slow it down. Defensively is going to be the emphasis here. I like the under. Yeah,
I mean, last year Cleveland rolled – I don't mean to extend this video out, but last year Cleveland rolled Toronto in Game 1 and then did it again in Game 2. And in their second-round series against Atlanta, they also did the same thing. They rolled Atlanta in Game 1, then rolled them again in Game 2. So why don't you like Cleveland here at -7?
It's interesting. I think Cleveland does scare you away a little bit. Like I said, they've been bipolar throughout the year. They were bipolar against Indiana just just last week. So, that's still in my mind, and I'm sure it's still in gamblers' minds that, is this Cleveland team the team that's going to roll on through, win every game in the playoffs and move into the finals, or are they going to stub their toe a few times? We'll see. I think this could be a game that they stub their toe, and that's why I'm going to stay away from the 7 points.
All right. Troy West is going to take the under 213.5 minus 110. I'm going to take the Toronto team total over 103 minus 109. You know what else I'm going to do, Troy West? I'm going to be a little ballsy here. I'm going to take Toronto plus 7.5 at the Chris Books minus 115, plus 7.5 minus 115. I just have a funny feeling that they might. This game might be a lot closer than people are expecting. All right. Troy West from TroyWins.com. Thanks so much. For anyone who's being introduced to you for the first time, tell us a little bit about what you do and what your website, TroyWins.com, is all about.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Pete. I appreciate it. TroyWins.com. We've been in business now for 13 years. Come take a look at what we're doing. I truly believe it's a one-stop shop in this industry. We cover all sports. We've got a great cast. Come take a look at what we're doing. It's TroyWins.com. We're happy to give you a free trial. Come take a look. Really looking forward to speaking with you.
All right. Awesome, Troy. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Well, this episode of The Odds Couple is over. But if you give us a like and click SBR's logo at the bottom of the screen to subscribe, then you'll get all the upcoming videos as soon as they come out. And don't forget to take advantage of our website. There's free picks, live betting lines, and sportsbook reviews and ratings guides, and a whole lot more. Check it out now.